So a lot of you might be having a bad experience with the random queue, particularly for 2-star dungeons. These are a significant difficulty increase from the previous 1-star dungeons, which means people need to be a lot more geared up and clued in what they're doing. But this has resulted in a lot of people getting, say, vote kicked. And even for supposedly no reason at all, there are just so many posts with people just having a bad time. But there is a reason behind this that you may not be aware of. You can exploit the random queue pretty terribly. Recently, they increased the party size up to 4, meaning you can go with a full party of 4 people, join the queue, and then there are just 2 randoms. And so now you have 4 people dominant in a queue, and they can do what they want. And a lot of the time, they'll kick the other 2 players if they don't think they're good enough. But not just that. Maybe they want a full stack of their friends in the random queue. That is fully possible right now. And it can be a big reason why you're just getting kicked out, even at the very beginning of the dungeon. And this is all possible because the random queue system is very abusable. You request to matchmake. You get a queue. You can just reject it. You can request to matchmake again. You can inspect what are the people who are going to be in my queue. If they're not your friends, you reject and you request again. And that allows you to essentially spam it and keep spamming it until you get everybody in the full party. But in order to do that, you have to kick out the first 2 people. And thus it results in a very toxic environment where you will join a queue and for some reason you might just instantly get kicked and be wondering why. Well, it's a very big likelihood that you're with a stack of 4 who want to then abuse it to play with their friends. Alternatively, of course, you've selected to not reveal your weapons and people are kicking just to be safe. They want to know how geared you are and so will kick you as a result if you won't show it. On top of that, they can just keep vote kicking people. You get your queue, you get somebody new, and you can just insta vote kick them again and again and again. Now, in some scenarios, that's fine. If the guy's going AFK, he's not cooperating properly, he's not just like joining, or he's just not playing mechanics at all. He could be considered just griefing your run. Then it's fine to have the vote kicking system, but honestly, it shouldn't be so spammable. This is controversial, but in my opinion, the vote kick should have a timer. And a personal timer at that. This guy suggests 8 hours. You only get to kick one person once every 8 hours. I know games which do this. However, a big fix to this will be coming December the 5th. We will get penalties. So you will no longer be able to spam the party matchmaking like this. I get a queue pop, I can just click reject. You won't be able to do that anymore. If I click the reject, I will get a timer before I can request matchmaking again. If I join a run, inspect the people and decide to instantly leave, I'm gonna have a cooldown before I can party matchmake again. This can be both a positive and a negative experience for players. On one side, it's positive because, yeah, people won't instantly leave all the time if they know they're going to have a penalty before they can queue again. You can still leave and go do other things if you feel sure that it is justified to instantly leave. But it's not like you can just immediately queue again, so you'd be less inclined to. And the same with rejecting the party matchmaking, you won't be able to spam it and look for your friends to be able to join them. And thus those friends then won't be kicking the people they get in order to request for their friends to join. But on the negative side of things, yeah, you won't so easily be able to pick the queue you want by always rejecting, and you won't be so free to just join and leave whenever you want, on top of not being able to so easily get all your friends in the same queue while going for the bonus rewards from the random queue. Ultimately, this random party matchmaking has created quite a toxic environment because the rewards are so good. People don't want to play with randoms, and so they will try to circumvent it by abusing the current system that you can vote kick whenever you want. There's barely any timer to it, and you can completely just spam request matchmaking. I don't know why the devs didn't think of this. Perhaps they suspect players to be a bit less exploitive, but that's how it is in these games. People are always looking to get ahead of others and save their time. Nobody cares about the other random players in the game. They care about their friends, they care about their loot, and ultimately progressing their character. So if they can do anything to make their life easier, the majority will, even at the expense of vote kicking people and wasting other people's time who they don't know. If you were to abuse this system, at the very least kick the people at the very beginning and apologize to them. But ultimately it shouldn't be possible, and you should just take what you're given and at least give it an attempt with the people you get. And otherwise, ideally run with a 4 stack if you're intent on doing randoms, if it's your first playthrough, and have those other party members explain the mechanics to you and help you get through it. Because going into these, especially as a random queue, as blind is a terrible idea. You're just asking for people to carry you, you're going to be wiping over and over and just letting down your entire team. They might not have 2 hours to spend on a random queue and may just vote kick you out like they already do. There is also an issue with the Island of Terror. You can bug the boss, so he does no mechanics at all. That definitely needs to get fixed. There is also what you could call an issue of people just taking shortcuts in all the dungeons. It is considered if you're not skipping mobs, if you're not taking the ideal path, you're wasting your time. And so it is currently expected that you play the correct paths, that you don't lure the enemies that don't need to be lured, which definitely shortens the completion time for these dungeons. This guy did suggest to add loot for like fully wiping a dungeon, killing everything. I honestly think it's a decent idea. It's just don't add the loot to the mobs that you actually kill. Add the loot to the chest at the end. Give like a bonus. If you clear the entire dungeon, kill everything, then you get a bit of a bonus. But we'll see what happens. Overall, thanks for watching. Don't be so toxic with the vote kick system and the party matchmaking system. Again, we will be getting penalties later because we can't really get along with each other. Ideally, everybody just speaks to each other. There is a chat system where you can have auto-translate enabled, so it should automatically translate if you're playing in, say, Europe and people are speaking in a different language. You just need to make sure you're phrasing your words that they aren't all just like acronyms or heavy slang, otherwise the translate system ain't doing anything. But yeah, people should be more inclined to actually talk with each other rather than immediately vote kicking based on guesses, because that's the thing. Like, people can't actually see how well you are performing in terms of damage output, in terms of healing or tanking. There is no like leaderboards, there is no like scoreboards in these dungeons. I personally would prefer if there was. I like to know my team's effectiveness, and I don't think it's very fair that you should carry a person without really knowing. You should know why your team's underperforming, and if you are the person who's underperforming, you should do something to improve your performance. I don't see why you should get to just hide, but that's such a controversial topic. But it's based on the games I've played and the experiences I've had. I prefer having scoreboards and having that openness. Even if it was just at the end of the dungeon, I would be okay with it. Like Lost Ark, you have an MVP system and it shows a bit of your performance. Because in general, I would like to know my performance versus the others. And that's also why I would like to have combat logs and parsers. But again, this is a lot of controversy. I'm just bringing light to this because people are confused why they're getting vote kicked so much. And honestly, if the devs are more aware of it, that will help the game as a whole. And if more people are abusing it, even more likely it'll get changed. And so we'll see you guys around. Goodbye for now.